Do you see that place on the screen? That is the place where I was awakened at. That is the place where I realized everything. And that place you are looking at is the place that led me to you. Welcome everyone. I hope you have had a good day and that you are ready for this message. Today I will discuss my spiritual journey to Lyra, and as I told you before, the spiritual is everything when it comes to connect to our soul family and to our families in the stars. So, it's all about magic. You will soon realize why. We are going to the past to see the future. We will get an understanding from magic and its importance in ancient time, and how the spirit world and the galactic forces worked with magic to awaken me, connecting future and past through magic. And we are going to see that magic is very real, and it's used by both the good and the evil forces in the universe. We cannot go to the future without understanding our connection with the past. We have to see it all. We have to see everything. And this place that you're looking at is the place where I first came in contact with magic. I thought magic was something, like stories, like fairy tales, nothing real. And the magic that people believe in today is the magic of business and success, the magic of only positive thinking and you will get a car, and only positive thinking and you will sell more things. But the real magic is much, much more powerful. We all know that the other magic that are used in business to sell things and convince people to buy things they don't need, it also works. But real magic, that's something different. So I'm going to take you on a journey. And this place that you're looking at, that's the place where I woke up. That's the place where everything happened. That's the place that made me rethink everything I have been thinking thus far in my life. And I had to meet a lot of challenges because there were many things that I was not prepared to accept when this happened. And that's why I understand when I give this message that there are many people that will not be prepared to take my message, because when I got this from the spirit world and from my galactic family, it was very hard. So we lost magic. We used to all know about magic. And in the old times, in the ancient times, they used to connect to the spirit world through magic. And it's not fairy tales, it's very, very real. And when we ascend into this new earth, we will understand magic, and it will actually be something that we are going to need to use to communicate in this new world. Because we that are waking up, we will not take a ship or any medication that we don't like. We will only use the force that we brought from the source when we came here. And that source is very, very powerful. There is no technique, no chemical that can come close to this. But we have to master this force. And to master this force and to fully understand where we're going, we have to understand magic. Magic is not something strange. Magic is not something out of the ordinary. Magic is like gravity. Magic is a natural law. Magic is something that has always existed, but the powers that may be, they don't want us to understand that there is magic, because then they will have the upper hand on us. The ones who control us, they understand magic very well, and they control us through magic. All those rock concerts, all those big gatherings, all those major events in the news, all of that is part of a magic ritual, and it entraps people, and they don't understand that this is like something that actually affects them. It actually affects them. It actually affects how they feel if this is done properly. So this is not without danger if it's used in wrong hands. So this is my journey to meet magic and understanding the absolute grounds for spiritual contact, which led me to galactic contact. So I think this will be very, very helpful. So I will start the story here, and in 2020 I had been very, very, very sick in the thing that everyone had, and I was unlucky because I was the only one that was sick. No one else was sick around me, so it was quite strange, and I don't know what it was, but I was sick for 3 months, and it took me 5 months to be somewhat normal. And I wasn't allowed to go to the hospital because I got it before everyone got it here in my country, in Sweden, like a month before or something like that. But they had heard about this. I think it was 3 weeks before the actual first case. So I wasn't allowed to the hospital, and I couldn't breathe. And before I got the sickness, whatever it was, I had been walking and close to the roads where I am, there is an old Viking fortress, and a friend of mine said, "Look, it's a fortress there," and he said there's a small sign, and you can go up, and there is a long wall of stones. And I was looking at it, and wow, it's very beautiful here. Like, I understand the location. You have the water in front of you, and you have the inlet to what today is Stockholm. So it would of course have needed some kind of military, and from that point I wander around, and I realized there are other reminiscences of the Vikings here, and I wasn't very interested in Vikings. I'm interested in history in general, but I didn't have any real connection. So I found this place, and that's the place you're looking at now on the screen, that magical place. But when I went there the first time, I didn't realize anything about magic. I had my visions, I had my psychic abilities, but they were very minor compared to now, and I had seen them most as something that is something that I have to handle all the time. It's not something that gives me really anything, and I was wondering why I have this all the time. So one of the days I was walking around the fortress, and I found this small ridge of a mountain, very narrow, and you can walk on it, and I walked up on the ridge, and I reached this plateau, and it was that really, really beautiful bonsai tree, a pine tree that had grown to a bonsai, and it was so beautiful in the place, and it was a little bit late in the day, so I could see that the sun settles exactly in line with the ridge to the plateau, like it settles exactly in the west. So it was very magical, because you have the sunlight going over the water, and then it goes along the ridge up, so you feel very, very close there to the sun. And I started to look around, and I saw that it was that fire pit that in Swedish is called 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐀𝐰𝐚𝐤𝐞𝐧𝐢𝐧𝐠. And the 𝐓𝐡𝐞, a beacon, it was used by the Vikings in the old days to warn, because when you have a fire on a really in a high place somewhere, so it can be seen in 360 degrees, you can put a fire on and say the enemy is coming. There is ships coming on the way to Stockholm, and which of course there were no Stockholm in those days, but there were still people living there. And then the next one could see, look, we are warned, we have time to gather the troops for a possible intruder, and they can start to light more fires along the way from the waterway, and you can warn for a long distance, so everyone will be prepared when the boat comes if it's an attack from another tribe. So I saw that it was this place, and I could see evidence. There is a natural valley in the rock that is quite deep, that is perfect for this. So I started to look around and scratch, because it looked like, I could see there had been people there. So I was just scratching around, I was looking, and I found runes in all directions around this 𝐓𝐡𝐞, around this beacon, where you put wood and fire, and you make a beacon. And I didn't know what type of runes it were, and I didn't understand what I was looking at. So I looked at them, and I found out that there were bind runes, and it was full of bind runes. And they were from the older 𝐓𝐡𝐞, which is from around year 150. So, and I thought it was so nice, like, wow, here is this place that no one knows about, and there are like runes everywhere, and it's not documented, or no one knows that this place exists, like there is no evidence of anyone being here. And I just needed to scratch maybe a couple of centimeters of dirt, and there were runes around this. So fast forward, the dreaded pandemic comes. I'm sick, and I'm really sick for 3 months, like really sick. I don't go out from the bed in 3 months, basically. It was coming in waves. It was coming like 2 weeks, and then I had like a week when I thought I was going to get good, and then it came. So I had 1 or 2 walks in those 3 months. Other than that, I was in bed. And then it was 3 or 4 days when I had very low oxygen level. I think I had 91 or 92 or something. And I'm a healthy person. I've trained all my life, and I've always been fit. And I fly airplanes, so I have to do medical exams every year, depending on my licenses. Sometimes it's every second year, but for the license I'm having every year. So I couldn't breathe at all, and I called the hospital and asked them to come get me. Please come get me, please come get me. I cannot breathe, and so on. But they didn't want to, for whatever reason. I told them what I had and oxygen. They didn't want me to come. And now when we know, and I have woken up, and I understand what the pandemic really is, which we will not go into here, I'm very lucky I didn't go to the hospital and get their treatment. So in these 3 days, I started to have death thoughts, because I had been sick for so many weeks, and I was so weak and so tired. And so I came to the realization that this is it for you, William. This is it for you. This is how you end. There is no more for you. And it was a very bad feeling because there were so many things I wanted to do in life. And I started to have a lot of messages from the spirit world. And on the second day, and I was totally devastated. I had been crying, and I couldn't breathe. And a spirit woman comes to me. I just feel her presence. I can't see her at this time, but I just feel her presence, and she speaks to me. And she asked me those little questions. How do you feel? How are you? Those small things. And I ask her because the contact is so clear and so good, and I don't usually have that kind of contact in this time. So I ask her, am I gonna die? Is this it for me? Is this all it's gonna be of me? And then she says, this is not your time. Your time is not yet. And then I asked her, who are you? I'm the Valkyria. And I didn't even know what the Valkyria was really, believe it or not. I've been interested in other things, so I did like every modern human, I googled on it. And it said that the Valkyria is the one that goes over the battlefield in the Viking age and collect the dead souls. And if you have an honorable death, the Valkyria will bring you to Valhalla from the battlefield. But if you don't have an honorable death, Freya will come and pick you up in the Folkwagen. And that was probably a great dishonor in that time. So, but I'm used to that there are strange things coming from the spirit world, so it didn't surprise me that much, but it really affected me when she said she was the Valkyria, because I understood that I met almost like I met death, you know. It's not your time. Death was here, but it's not your time. And 1 or 2 days after that, a man from the spirit world came, and he felt quite large and quite big and a bit older, like in his 60s or something. And he gave me a message. He didn't speak to me or anything, but I just felt his presence, and then he gave me a message. And that message I repeated on the place on the screen that you see in front of you, that I today call Home of the Gods. And that beautiful bonsai tree there, pine tree, I call the world tree Yggdrasil. And I call it the home of the gods in plural because of respect of the people that were there and had those beliefs. I know in my deepest part of my soul, and I have made a visit during my attack, that there is one God only. So fast forward, I'm getting better, and I'm having days when I can go out and walk, you know, and I'm trying to go out and I'm trying to move, but I also realized that this is something that can maybe affect the heart because of how this disease worked. So I was careful, and one day I was out walking, and this is something that will explain what synchronicity is and what messages from the spirit world can be. The messages, you will only understand what these messages are. They can look plain, but when you understand what this message, and that this message is from the spirit world, you can really communicate with these messages. And that's where all of this magic slowly starts to happen. So I'm out walking now, along the beach, and just along the water, and then I have to go around the cliff that goes down the water and then up a little hill to a road. And I feel still very sick, and I have extreme pain in my legs, and I later understood that this sickness can affect your blood vessels, so they can bleed. So that's probably what I had, but I didn't know that at that time. So I was walking around this cliff. It was beautiful. I hadn't been out for months, and suddenly I see 3 ravens in a tree, and they start to scream to me with so much strength and so much emphasis. I just stop, I can just feel it, the screams, like they're screaming, 3 of them just looking at me and screaming, and I have never seen a raven before. I have never seen a raven before, or if I have seen one, I have never seen them before. But I definitely haven't seen them where I live. And there were 3 of them. And they were screaming for full throats at me, angry. And I could just feel it. Go home, go home, go home, go home. So I just stopped. I went back and got home, and I got sick for another month. It re-emerged because it came in waves, this sickness. So I was sick for a month, completely in bed. And then finally I start to go out again, and I can move, and I go to that place, that beautiful place with a tree, the world tree. I go there and I take a deep breath, and I'm thinking, wow, it's so beautiful here. Nature is beautiful, life is beautiful. But as I come there, I feel this enormous presence from my spirit guide, the one that have always been with me. And I could just feel her, that she's happy, and there is something going on there. And she's saying to me, they are all here. They have all gathered. So I feel this energy, and I can feel how happy she is. And I feel the presence of people from the Viking age. Like there are a whole bunch of them on this cliff with me. And I just feel how the energy just get higher and higher and higher. And I start to realize that there is a really strong spiritual presence here, something I have never felt before on this level. And then my spirit guide tells me, you have a very large family in the spirit world from Mesolithic times. They are all here waiting for you. They have been waiting for this moment. They have been waiting for you. They are all here. It's a gathering. They are waiting. Say something. Say something. And I'm thinking, what should I say? And really, what is happening? And I don't see anything. I don't have that strong visions or anything, but I feel them, and I hear them clear as day. And then I remember the message I got from the man when I was in bed some month ago. And I think that was a really beautiful message. So I spoke it on the mountain. I felt like I should speak this, I should say that, because I realized in that point that message I got, it was meant for me to be spoken in this place, in this time, when all of them from the spirit world have gathered. So I read the message, and the message is like this. Phoenix, rise up from the ashes. Rise up from the ashes and spread your wings. Rise up and fly. Rebirth. And felt really good, and I could feel those, people from the Viking age in their Viking clothes. No one had weapons. They had those garments and some leather. Many of them had long hair and long beard. Women and men. And most of them looked like at least 50 or more in age. They were quite old, all of them. And then suddenly I started to feel that the energy was even heightened, and I started to get the sensatory vision, which I explained in my previous video. I don't see anything, but because the energies are so high and I sense them, it gives me a mental picture that it's also connected to the spirit world. They're sending you the energy through you at the same time. So I see this whirl, like a whirlwind, like an upside down cone spinning slowly in purple and green, and there is a woman coming down in the cone. She's coming down. She has her hair together in a knot. She has some brown garment that goes all the way down to her wrists, and she's dressed from the same time, and she's floating in this cone. And I just feel that I see her floating there, and I feel the presence. Everyone is there, and I cannot explain this, but it was a really strong presence. For a person that have no psychic ability, they believe they will have been affected by the presence that was in this place at this point. So, but I didn't see anything, and I didn't realize that at this moment, exactly at this point, at this gathering from the spirit world, where all the spirits apparently from Mesolithic times, this was the point when I was awakened. From this point, everything has happened in my life. Everything to where I am now, and the meeting with Lyra and the galactics, and understanding all of this. Before this, I was just like anyone else. I had my dreams, I had my hopes, and I didn't understand how special the world is. So anyway, I start to go down from the cliff down in the forest. I just passed a little bit down, and suddenly I heard a woman in my ear, very, very clear as day. And you have to understand something. I have never had this kind of communication before. So, and this kind of presence where I had a communication mostly where you hear voice from a spirit, but they're not really in the same place and time like you. But now I felt her just beside me. She spoke to me clear, and she said that they liked what you said, and you're always welcome back. Please come back here whenever you want. We all love you. And I couldn't do anything than say yes, of course. And I was thinking, what is happening? What the heck? What is going on? And so I went home, and later that evening, when I was back in my house, and I was lying in bed, and suddenly the woman from the home of the gods, she came to my house, and she brought with her a man, and it was a full presence. She was in my house. She spoke to me with a clear voice, as if I was discussing with any living human being that is in my house. And I have never had this experience before. I was shocked, and I was also surprised that I didn't get afraid, because I can't see her, but she's speaking to me, and I know she's just beside me. I can hear where the voice is coming from. I can hear the tone of her voice. I can hear like the age from the voice, and I can feel her presence, everything. I could feel the man too, but I couldn't feel him as good. And I asked, are you the woman from the mountain? And she said yes. And I asked, who do you have with you? His name is Tyr, which is the same as the modern version of Thor. And I asked her, what is your name? And then she said, I am the magician. And I didn't understand, because this is the first time I came in contact with magic. If I only had known how important she was for me. She was sent to protect me, because everything that happens to me now, when I meet the Greys, I get entity attachment from the demonic entities from the astral world. All of those things happened because I made a very big mistake. I went to a place, I was tricked by the Greys, because I so wanted to meet our space family and space brothers, and I didn't understand who I was talking to. So I went to a place and I lost her. And then after that I was on my own. And so she was sent to protect me, and I had no idea when this thing happened. And it will come clear later in the story. So she came for 3 nights, full presence, spoke about everything, and I was thinking, wow, I can never tell this to anyone. No one will believe me. And I had a hard time believing it myself too. And it was so natural. It wasn't scary. It was like your grandmother or aunt or something just came and spoke to you. And she spoke in this very beautiful old Swedish, and she was so caring for me, and she was so afraid that I would get hurt, and she expressed those emotions, that she wanted to protect me and that I was so precious to them. And so one of those 3 nights I asked her that, because I had realized I was in an old cult place from the Viking age, and the Vikings, they did blood sacrifices and different things that are not good spiritually. And I was thinking, did I go in a cult place and drag something home with me that I wasn't supposed to do? And so I asked her, isn't magic a bad thing? Especially with the Vikings that have practiced magic there on that cliff top in the woods. Isn't magic a bad thing? Isn't that something that is evil? And then she said, magic is neither good or evil. It is just magic. Everything is your intention, what you do with magic. And I could feel the love from the magician, from this old woman, and I could feel that this is true. This is not, I'm not getting tricked here. Okay, my friends, this is how far I take the story this time. I'll try to get the second part of this story, the story of me finding the magician, out as soon as possible. I have some private matters, but I will do my best. I hope this was beneficial to you, and in the second part I continue my story, and this part deals with finding the magician and the spiritual awakening in my awakening process, as an example and a guide to help other people navigate. But this experience ends with me getting in troubles with the Greys, and being approached by the grace, because I lose the magician and make a mistake. But first, this story continues a bit more before we arrive to the grace, and that's in the second part. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm really glad that you're here, and I hope, if you feel like it, that you share this message so we can give this to other people that might need it, because this is my true experience, and it can help people, because everyone is gonna to go through a spiritual experience now when we ascend, and I think this will be beneficial to many, especially when you see all the pieces when they are put together. It's quite incredible. With that being said, another time.